Hello you beautiful people, I hope you all are having an amazing, beautiful day, and in this video I'm gonna be talking about some very useful stuff for new players to make your Destiny 2 journey more fun and above all, less confusing as a new Guardian. Since this is gonna be a long one, I will put time marks on the screen right now and you can skip to whatever part you are more interested in. I will start with the very basics and we'll go over everything. Power level, expansions, DLCs, how to level up, where I think you should start as a completely new player, and so on. And I hope you guys find all of this helpful. If you enjoy the video and want to support the channel guys, a like and a sub is very appreciated, and it also prevents Shaxx from doing some crazy stuff. You know what he's gonna do.
I'll snap off my other horn!
Okay, this is getting out of control. So first let's talk about New Light, the free part of Destiny 2 that you can play whenever you wish. It includes all of the Destiny 2 base game and all of the Year 1 expansions, Warmind and Curse of Osiris, which is all the content all the way until Forsaken, the biggest Destiny 2 expansion. But the good news is you can even play parts of Forsaken, such as Gambit, which is a PvE PvP activity that you can play with friends, and you can also play the Crucible, which is the PvP part of the game. And you get to test out some of the Year 1 raids. Raids, by the way, are the PvE endgame, and mostly with every big expansion there is also a new raid that is a lot of fun with some awesome mechanics and awesome bosses. So you do get to test out big part of the game with the free version, and you can form a pretty solid opinion about Destiny 2. Honestly, if you're thinking to get into the game and haven't tried it at all, use this opportunity. Destiny 2, especially for new players, is truly a huge universe with the potential to easily become one of your favorite games. And with this huge free piece of the game, what do you have to lose? So try it out and hopefully you enjoy it a lot. With that being said, if you have tried it and if you want to get into the game, which DLCs should you get? Well, this really depends on how you look at it. Just a few weeks ago, my friend got into Destiny 2 and wanted to know what to buy, and I'm gonna recommend the same thing I did to him. Try the free version. If you enjoy it and care about the story, some cool missions and weapons, try out beautiful raids, then you should get the upgrade edition that comes with Forsaken and Shadowkeep. If you don't really care about the story that much and don't want to try the raids and you just want to play this current season, you can instead just buy Shadowkeep. First time purchases of Shadowkeep or the upgrade edition will both grant the currently active season pass upon logging in for the first time after purchase. So no matter which one you choose, you will get the active season pass, so that's a great thing. Honestly, Forsaken is such a big part of the story anyway that in my opinion it's definitely worth getting. And then we have Shadowkeep, the biggest one after Forsaken, which ties right in with the current seasons all the way till September. And if you want to enjoy the endgame at its best, you want to get Shadowkeep. We have one more season till the big September expansion, and if you are thinking to get into the game, this might just be the perfect time, as you will have quite some time to understand the game better and be ready for the fall content, which in my opinion is gonna be awesome because every fall expansion so far, starting from Destiny 1, has been a game changer for the series. So let's say you decided to get into D2, got everything you needed, and now you have to pick a class. So which one should you try? Honestly, in my opinion, to experience the game in the best way possible, you should definitely try all three classes. Here's a quick overview of the three. Hunter is the most assassin kind of class from MMOs. You can go stealth, your movement is really good, you get the ability to dodge, which is really good in PvP, and in PvE also for instantly reloading weapons. You have smoke bombs to confuse and damage enemy players, you get throwing knives, I mean, who doesn't like throwing knives? You get supers where you can jump up and create this amazing looking void bow and tether everything around you. You also get to wield this gun that is on fire and you can just destroy people from far away in PvP. I mean, it's pretty cool. Then you have the Titan class, which is kind of like the tank classes from MMOs, but definitely not as tanky. You have a class ability that puts up a barricade, which is very useful both for PvP and PvE. You also get a shoulder charging ability where you just rush enemies and literally just destroy them by charging them with your extremely strong shoulders. You get to wield this badass hammer and run around and just destroy enemies with it. Oh, and one more thing, you have a super where you fly around like Superman and destroy people. Oh, and another super where you run around and throw your shield, bounce it off walls, and once again destroy people. And yes, it does feel like you're Captain America. Next, we have the Warlock, which in my opinion is the most support-based class, especially at the beginning, but near the end game, every class has their own supportive supers and abilities, so keep that in mind. You can drop a healing rift or a damaging rift. You have a super where you fly around with a flaming sword raining down fire on enemies. You have supers that give your team awesome survivability. And we'll talk about the best starting supers and subclasses for new players in a bit here. But honestly guys, just whichever looks more fun to you, pick that one class. Destiny isn't a typical MMO with healer tank support. And as I said, at the end of the day, you definitely want to have all three of the classes to enjoy the game in different ways anyway, because they truly make the game feel different in their own way. Oh, and hunters have cloaks, and some of them look really cool, just letting you know. Just in case. Hunter Master Race. Okay, so after you pick one of these characters, you get thrown into the first mission, which is really not hard, pretty much a tutorial run. Just follow the mission, kill stuff, punch stuff in the face, use your super for the first time, and after you're done with absolutely destroying everything, your first mission in Destiny 2 will be done and you will be sent to the tower. The tower is the biggest social space in Destiny 2 and you will be spending a lot of time here. Now this is where it can be a bit confusing, but don't worry, it's way easier than it looks. So first of all, let's take a look at the quest, destination, and other tabs, because you will need to check these out pretty often if you get confused. Every time you pull out your ghost, you can open the directory. Here you will be able to go to the store where you can buy stuff such as ornaments, emotes, and stuff like that for silver that you purchase with real money, or bright dust that you can get in game. Then we have the quest tab where you will find your main and side quests. Right next to it is the map, which is perfect to locate the NPCs. Destinations is pretty much the world map of Destiny. Here you pick the planets and fly in with your beautiful ship. Next to it, you can check your friend list and people in your lobby. And last one is seasons. Shows you your season pass, but these tabs do change from time to time when it comes to design, so keep that in mind. Let's get back to the quest tab. As you can see right here, it says main quest and it tells you which NPC you need to visit. And this first quest is one of those quests you get in MMOs where you run around, so they show you where the NPCs are. So take your time and learn all the NPC locations. Now comes the interesting stuff, and I'm gonna share my personal experience and thoughts. When you get into a game as massive as D2 right now, in my humble opinion guys, you need to understand the game mechanics and everything that comes with it. And if you rush the end game by just trying to get the higher power level gear, you'll end up with even more questions than you had when you started. So I would recommend to go to Amanda Holiday, this NPC right here, which gives you the ability to play the legacy content. These are the 3 campaign modes of Destiny 2 Year 1. So why are these good? First of all, these are the story missions that overall will give you a better idea of the world of Destiny 2 and will get you ready for more endgame content because you will have a way better understanding of the mechanics of the game. Start with the Red War. As you pick it up, it will appear in the tower on the map. Keep in mind, every campaign has their own symbol, so every time you see these symbols on a mission, that means that specific mission belongs to this expansion or storyline. This makes it easy to track which campaign missions you are doing, so try to keep these symbols close to you in case you're a bit confused. So we started the Red War campaign. Just select it from the map and launch, and you will start. Then just follow the symbol in your quest tab and it will take you to some missions until you're done with the story of Red War. And honestly, I think for a completely new player, this is a great spot to start. There's awesome cutscenes, you get to experience the story how you should when you start D2 in the first place. And remember, as you go through these campaign missions, not only do you get a better understanding of the game in general, but you will gear up your Guardian. Not the best gear, but at least some gear. And you're getting tons of experience, which at this point is much more valuable than gear. You don't need to do this every time you start a new character, but I would 100% recommend this if you are a new player. This is a perfect spot to start. If you are a returning player after year 1, go ahead and start with the Forsaken missions and then complete the Shadowkeep missions. If you want to complete all of them in order, this is how it goes: Red War, Curse of Osiris, Warmind, Forsaken, and then Shadowkeep. For me personally guys, I really like to catch up with everything and mainly story details, so I would do all of these, but it really comes down to your preference, so I hope everything we talked about helps you guys get an idea on where to start. Also keep in mind that you have introduction quests. These quests do what they say pretty much, they introduce you to different modes, so make sure to do these also when you get the chance. And we will talk about all of these modes later in the video, but first we need to cover other basic things, so let's move on. Let's talk about gear and power level. I'll try to explain everything you need to know as a beginner. As you can see right now, my character is 771 power level and it has white and green gear. As you progress, you will get blue gear, then purple legendary gear, and yellow exotic gear. Exotics are the highest quality of gear and weapons and come from quests or drops if you are lucky. At the start, don't focus on the stats or perks on your green or blue armor pieces or weapons. It really doesn't matter and you will be swapping them out very often, so just put on the gear pieces that are higher power level. The way the power level works is pretty simple. You put on higher level gear and your overall power level will go up. That's pretty much it. Your overall power level is based on the average of the gear your character is wearing, which also affects how much damage you will do to enemies and how much you will take from them. Let's say you are 20 power level lower than the activity is. Then killing those ugly ass aliens will be harder and you will be taking more damage, but it is still doable as long as you take time and don't rush it. However, if you are way lower than the activity, let's say 30 or more power level lower, you should probably try to gear up first, get your power level up, and then try the activity again. Another thing to keep in mind is with every expansion, you have a new max power level with a certain cap before you reach the highest level. Just for an example, let's say the season's max power level is increased from 1010 to let's say 1060. In this case, it's going to be fairly easy to hit 1050 as most of the activities will give you gear to climb all the way to 1050, but this will be the cap for most of the normal and powerful gear activities. However, in order to hit 1060, you have to do the pinnacle activities, which are the hardest activities in Destiny 2, and they give you the highest gear you can get. So what you want to do every week is finish all the normal and powerful gear activities and do the pinnacles at the very end, so you get the most power level out of your rewards. And yes, this does take time because there's only a limited amount of these pinnacle activities every week, so you have to put in the time and complete the hardest content in the game, and slowly you progress to 1060. From time to time, you will also get the prime engrams as a world drop, which are another source of pinnacle gear. So with every new expansion or season, the power level is increased. You will have a new cap and the process repeats itself. As a new light player that has no expansions purchased, you pretty much put on the highest power level gear you have and get your character higher and higher, as high as the free version of the game will let you. This is how the power level system is gonna work for you. But as you purchase the Shadowkeep expansion, the artifact will be introduced. How the artifact works is, the more you play and more experience you gain, the artifact levels up, and with every level up of the artifact you gain an extra power level. So if your max power level with just gear is 1000 and your artifact is level 5, you will be 1005. This also works even if you are the highest power level of the season. It takes you beyond the max power level you can reach with your gear that season. Of course, the first few levels of the artifact are fairly easy to get. The more you level up, the more XP it takes, and the artifact also works across all characters. As long as you level it up on one character, it will be the same level for all characters, and it will affect them in the same way. The artifact also has special perks that are very important for endgame activities that come with Shadowkeep. Okay, I hope you guys get the idea of the artifact, but as mentioned, you don't have to worry about this unless you have Shadowkeep. Now that we went over the gear and power level, let's talk about weapons. We have 3 types of weapons: primary, special, and heavy. We also have a total of 3 slots for weapons. We're gonna talk about the first 2 slots starting from top and then get to the final heavy slot at the end. Let's start. The kinetic slot is the top one, which takes kinetic weapons. These are the weapons that don't have any kind of energy damage. That's why when you scroll over them, the power level number is in white. Then you have the energy weapons, which is the middle slot where you have weapons that deal either solar, void, or arc energy damage. In order to see which archetypes are primary and which are special weapons, you simply go to your character menu, go to collections, then weapons. When you press primary, it will show you the list of the weapons that take primary ammo. These are auto rifles, scout rifles, pulse rifles, hand cannons, submachine guns, sidearms, and bows. This does not necessarily mean that all of the weapons on the primary list have to be in the top slot or only do kinetic damage. It simply means that these are the weapons that need primary ammo, which would be the white bricks that drop from enemies. For example, even though auto rifles are primary weapons, you can get auto rifles that do energy damage. This one right here, as you can see, does solar damage, and that is precisely why it is in the energy slot. We have another auto rifle in the kinetic slot, and since this one does not have energy damage, it is in the kinetic slot, which once again means they take primary ammo regardless if they do kinetic damage or energy damage. And same goes for special weapons. Shotguns, grenade launchers, fusion rifles, or sniper rifles can all be in the top slot or in the middle slot, depending if they are doing kinetic damage or energy damage. But they will always use special ammo, and that is the green bricks that drop from enemies. For example, right here we have snipers in both kinetic and energy slot. One does kinetic damage, the other of course does energy damage, but they both take special ammo. Yes, you can use two special weapons at the same time. It can be two snipers or maybe a shotgun and a sniper, but as long as they are both special weapons, every time you pick up the ammo, it will split between the two. Same goes for double primaries. If I use double auto rifles or a bow and a sidearm, when I pick up primary ammo, it will split between the two. Now, when it comes to heavy weapons, such as swords, rocket launchers, linear fusion rifles, and machine guns, these always do energy damage and are always in the heavy slot. In order to get ammo for these weapons, you need the purple bricks from the enemies. There are also some exceptions. There's a few snipers that go into the heavy slot that deal a lot of damage, and they are an exotic, which also means by nature they have some insane perks that make them really strong. However, as mentioned, these are very rare exceptions. Now let's take a closer look on some of the main playlists of the game and some other ways on how to get gear and get higher power level. We're gonna start with the Vanguard playlist, which is one of the PvE playlists of the game and a perfect spot for new players to sharpen their skills. The normal Vanguard strikes only need 750 light, so you can do these right away. And one of the introduction quests will ask you to do a strike anyway. This is a great place to get better gear actually, but as I mentioned, for a completely new player, I would do the story campaigns first in order to get a way better understanding of the game, and then start chasing some gear from the strikes to get my power level higher. Strikes have matchmaking, so you will be put into a strike with two other guardians. As you get to the end, you will face a boss, and after defeating the boss, you get to open a chest with some higher level gear to increase your power level. Now, as a new player, even blue gear is great to increase your power level, so just keep putting on the higher level gear until the blue gear stops dropping at a higher level. Until you hit this cap, strikes are amazing. Then comes the hard part of the Vanguard playlist, and that is the Nightfall. Nightfall has different difficulties, and depending on which one you do, you get different levels of rewards. As you can see right here, Nightfalls also have a scoring system, and if you do a 100k point run, you get pinnacle drops, and most of the harder difficulties have a really high chance of an exotic drop. But these are pretty hard, and you need a good team and some nice communication. This is pretty much one of the endgame content for Destiny 2. As new expansions come out, the level of Nightfall difficulty will be scaled up. Now let's move on to the Crucible playlist, which is the PvP game mode. There's a lot of modes here, and as you hover over them, it will tell you what you can expect from the mode. But every week you can play 4 games in the Crucible and get pinnacle gear. Now, some of them give you powerful gear, so make sure to do these first and then do the pinnacle ones. And we also have the Gambit playlist, which is the PvE PvP activity that also gives you pinnacle gear when you play 3 games. So remember, do the powerful activities first and then move on to the pinnacles. Also keep in mind, as long as you have this yellow mark on any of the planets, that means that you can go to the destination and complete weekly tasks. Once done, you can receive a powerful reward. If you don't see some of these pinnacles or powerful rewards showing up on some of the destinations, that means you're not high enough light level. So just play the game, and when you reach the needed power level, they will start showing up. Okay, now let's quickly talk about some of the main vendors and bounties and weekly quests you can get from these vendors. Honestly, the main ones will be Zavala, Shaxx, and Banshee. They all have bounties that you can pick up. Bounties are just go here and kill this kind of quests. Very easy to do. Once you pick all of them up, you can keep buying repeatable bounties for Glimmer to get some extra bounties and work on them together. Once all of the bounties are completed, try to get into a fire team because you do get more XP if you turn them in when you are in a fire team. Some of the ghosts also will give you more experience while playing, so if you find one with the guiding light perk, keep it. Completing and turning in bounties are a really good way to level up your artifact. Once you complete a minimum of 8 bounties for each of these vendors, you can go back to them and receive your powerful rewards. And finally, there is one more vendor that arrives on Friday's reset time and stays till Tuesday reset time, and his name is the one and only Xur. Now this guy is really good for new players because he brings exotics you can buy and an exotic engram that is a guaranteed new exotic, so it cannot be a duplicate, which is perfect for new players. So all those materials you get from dismantling the gear you don't need, keep it and visit Xur. And finally guys, let's quickly talk about which supers are the best for a beginner player. If you are a hunter, I would definitely recommend Top Tree Night Stalker. You go invisible with every dodge, which is amazing for survivability, and you get a super that is perfect for ad control or boss damage phases. You can tether many ads, and as long as you damage one of them, they all take damage. It also does a huge debuff on them, so you're gonna be doing a lot more damage. Not to mention, if you get the Orpheus Riggs exotic boots, you can get a lot of your super energy back from tethering enemies. Warlock, I would go Voidwalker Top Tree. Once again, very strong to clear ads and does tons of damage on bosses. If you own Forsaken, you can unlock the middle tree Dawnblade, which is also amazing for team plays. It creates a huge rift for you and your team, and you can stand in it, do more damage, and get healing and overshields, which is pretty cool. And finally, Titan. Once again, for solo or group play, Top Tree Void again, guys. You create a bubble which grants you the buff of Weapons of Light for increased weapon damage, and if you don't feel safe, just stay inside this beautiful bubble, man, and you will be untouchable until it's gone. It's actually really fun to pop the bubble right on top of some of the strike bosses and absolutely melt them with heavy weapons. Oh, and speaking of heavy weapons, don't use rocket launchers inside the bubble. Just trust me on this one. Just don't do it. Woo! I think I covered all the things you need to know as a beginner, guys. Of course, there's more details and stats and all that, but honestly, this should be more than enough information to get you started. My Titan is kinda still mad at me. I deleted him to get a better idea on how the starting missions and everything worked, but I know his weakness is spicy ramen, so we should be fine. There we go, he looks pretty happy to me. So if you guys still have any questions, I am more than happy to answer. Drop them in the comments. I try to answer as many people as I can, as fast as I can. Also on the channel, you can find some really cool PvP builds and beautiful PvP gameplays. Hope you enjoyed the video. If so, a like and a sub really does help me out, and trust me, there is more beautiful content on the way, so make sure to subscribe and don't forget that bell notification button so you don't miss all the latest PvP videos, PvP builds, and so on. Thank you all for all the amazing support. I appreciate every single one of you, and as always, have a crazy beautiful day.